Lewis Hamilton has always been defined by adaptation. From tyre management at Mercedes to wet weather mastery in Brazil, his career is built on extracting performance in adverse conditions. Yet, the Ferrari SF-25 presented a challenge unlike any he had faced before. The car demanded a driving style that felt alien later braking, a sharper rotation point mid-corner, and an unusually narrow operating window that punished even the smallest deviation in steering input. For months, Hamilton tried to bend the car to his rhythm. The result was frustration, radio complaints, and lap deltas that rarely matched Charles Leclerc's raw pace. At Zandvoort and Monza, however, something changed. Brundle described it as a mindset adjustment, but in truth, it was more than psychology, it was technical humility. Hamilton stopped forcing the SF-25 into his style and began meeting the car on its own terms. The stopwatch revealed the effect. While Leclerc still qualified ahead, Hamilton's race pace hovered within 0.2 per lap across long stints, a level of consistency unseen earlier in the season. That delta may sound small, but in a championship context, it transforms strategy. A driver losing 0.5 per lap is locked into defensive racing. A driver losing 0.2 can stay in DRS range, pressure rivals, and force errors. Acceptance also carries a psychological dividend. Instead of lamenting Ferrari's failure to deliver a race-winning car, Hamilton seemed energized by the fight itself. Sixth place at Monza, climbing from 10th on the grid, would not normally be headline material for a 7-time champion. But the manner of the drive, the calm progression through traffic, the absence of desperate lunges, the visible ease in managing tyre degradation suggested a man rediscovering patience. Brundle was right. Hamilton looked happier. And happiness in Formula One is rarely just emotional. It is tactical, because a settled Hamilton is a calculating Hamilton. And that raises the pivotal question: is Ferrari witnessing the first glimpse of Hamilton as not just a driver, but as a long-term architect of their recovery? For most of 2025, Ferrari's internal battle line was drawn in qualifying. Charles Leclerc's ability to extract peak lap time from the SF-25 gave him the upper hand on Saturdays, while Hamilton often found himself starting deep in the midfield. That imbalance distorted Ferrari's entire points strategy. Leclerc accumulated steady podium finishes while Hamilton battled inconsistencies and grid penalties. Entering Monza, the numbers were stark. Leclerc sat 46 points clear, effectively carrying Ferrari's constructors' campaign, while Hamilton played reluctant support. But Brundle's observation of a mindset shift changes the political arithmetic. If Hamilton has accepted Leclerc's raw pace, then Ferrari gains something more valuable than pure stability. Internal friction, whether through ignored team orders, frustrated radio calls, or off-track body language, drains energy from a campaign. Mercedes experienced this in the Hamilton-Rosberg years, where every strategy call carried double meaning. At Ferrari, Vasseur knows that avoiding such a split is critical. A 46-point gap can be managed. A divided garage cannot. The acceptance dynamic also unlocks tactical flexibility. With Hamilton closer to Leclerc's pace in race conditions, Ferrari can run dual strategies without fear of one car falling into traffic. At Monza, for instance, Hamilton's average stint pace of 1 minute 25.9 seconds kept him within the critical undercut window of midfield rivals, despite starting 10th. That allowed Ferrari to hedge tyre choices rather than committing everything behind one driver. The longer this pattern holds, the more Ferrari can think like Red Bull did in their dominant years, using two cars in concert rather than treating one as expendable. Of course, the risk is that acceptance could tip into subservience. Hamilton did not sign with Ferrari to be a number two, and Vasseur knows that managing the narrative is as important as managing the stopwatch. If Hamilton feels permanently cast in Leclerc's shadow, the political truce could fracture. It echoes his early Mercedes years, where sixth place finishes in 2013 laid the groundwork for dominance in 2014. For Leclerc, these numbers carry a different weight. If Hamilton continues to chip away at the deficit, his role as undisputed lead driver is mathematically threatened. Ferrari may not say it aloud, but if Hamilton begins closing races within a second or two of Leclerc, the political balance in Maranello shifts, which means the human question becomes unavoidable. Is Leclerc prepared to share Ferrari's narrative if Hamilton's mathematics demand it? If there is one constant in Formula One history, it is that the great comebacks rarely announce themselves with fireworks. They begin quietly in the details only insiders notice. Brundle's observation of a happier Hamilton may seem like a passing remark, but in the wider arc of the sport, it could be the first breadcrumb in Ferrari's long-awaited renaissance. Consider Michael Schumacher's arrival at Ferrari in the mid-1990s. His early seasons were defined not by immediate victories, but by the recalibration of expectations, podiums celebrated, small technical improvements amplified, and a cultural shift that emphasized patience. By the time the titles arrived, the foundation had been laid years earlier in moments that looked ordinary at the time. Hamilton's Monza performance carries a similar texture. Sixth place, gained methodically from 10th on the grid, might not look historic. But if it signals the beginning of synergy between driver and team, historians may one day mark it as the true start of his Ferrari chapter. The 2026 regulations add further gravity. Rule resets act as accelerators of destiny. Teams either align perfectly with the new philosophy or disappear into irrelevance. Ferrari cannot afford to misstep, and Hamilton's mindset evolution may give them a compass they have lacked. His career has shown a remarkable ability to anticipate regulation shifts. His feedback in 2013 directly influenced Mercedes' dominance from 2014 onward. If he can play a similar role now, Ferrari's 2026 project may bear his fingerprints as much as any engineer's. Of course, the historical parallel also carries a warning. Great revivals demand unity, and Ferrari's greatest weakness has always been internal fracture. If Hamilton and Leclerc drift into rivalry, the echoes may not be Schumacher's dynasty, but Alonso's frustration, a team with speed undone by politics. Which is why Brundle's remark matters. He was not just noting a smile in the paddock, he was identifying a potential pivot point in Ferrari's trajectory. Whether that pivot leads to redemption or repetition will depend on how Ferrari and Hamilton himself choose to carry this new chapter forward.